In this video, we're going to use the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 as my primary camera to showcase what an average week in the life is like for me, a full-time YouTuber, Instagrammer, content creation person in the camera gear space niche. If you want to see how this camera handles, the accessories I'm using, the settings, there was even an update that happened throughout the process of filming this video, what it's like to do this as a job, how the industry works, lots of tips, tricks, inside information on how I do things, then this will be a good video for you to watch. It's going to be long, but it is filled with information, and we're talking about this camera a lot throughout the whole video. Here it is. I don't know if the audio is going to be any good on this. We're just using the internal one. Let's see if anyone's beat the embargo. No. Sometimes you'll get the occasional person that will just post a couple of minutes before everyone else, even though they broke the embargo. See if they can get those few little views before everyone else does. But when you work with brands, there's a lot of things you have to do if it's sponsored content. For example, here I make to make sure that I have title, captions, hashtags, brand tags, and a product link all in that video. It's part of doing it. So DJI clearly doesn't know that if you don't use hashtags, it's actually a little bit better in my experience, but it is what it is. Got it, we're live.
Multifunction module
It's there.
which I can attach to the Osmo Mobile 7.
We refresh YouTube. Is the feed littered with DJI Osmo? Yeah, there we go. It's like normal. People hate this, but it's just the way it is. We have to make a living somehow, and sponsored content is a big part of that. Now for my links, I use a combination of two different things. For product links, I use Genius Links. If you're not aware of what Genius Links is, it's basically a way for people to click on a link and then it takes them to their country's local version of that link. So for example, Amazon, if they click on my Genius link, I have all the stores that I commonly am visited from. So US is the biggest one, Canada, France, the UK, India, Germany. I have Amazon affiliate accounts with all of those, and they're connected to my Genius Link account. So when I just post in just the US link, it will send the viewer to their relevant country, and that way I make sure I get the commission based on the country that they're in, and then it just all funnels into a particular account that I have set up. But then I also have beacons, which is basically like my landing page for Instagram. This is what beacons looks like. So you can just paste the link in, and normally it will auto-populate all of the text and the picture and everything for me, but it looks like it's taking a little while today, probably because the product just came out. You normally tell with a reel almost immediately how well it's going to do. So let's take a look and see. DJI products generally get good views to begin with. So it's working now. So you see I just pasted it in there and it found the picture for me and everything's in there. Normally I'll remove this part of the text and there's just a link in there. And now when I go on my Instagram account, you'll see that it appears just there. With Instagram, there's not really a huge amount of click-throughs. Like, people don't buy off Instagram the same way they buy off of YouTube. People don't realize that. Instagram's more about just like views, general marketing to get products out there. I just realized I keep looking at the screen of this thing. That's gonna be a hard thing to get around. So used to doing it with a regular camera and just looking at the lens, but I gotta look at this little lens. Now that product launch is out the way, I think we need to make this video look a little bit better with one of these. This is the Osmo Pocket 3 Black Diffusion Quarter and Variable ND 2-32 from K&F Concept. Thank you for sending that through. Slap this on. Jankily left this on here. I'm gonna have to look up and see if there's any magnetic mounts or little tiny mounts that maybe clip on here instead. Because I feel like I'm gonna need one. Is this just an all-in-one? I think it is. Oh, a little screen protector on there. You know, well, let's throw that on there. Oh, it's too early. Throw that on there as well. All right, so let's put this down to the lowest. Slap you on. Do we look better? Do we look immediately more cinematic now? So we're changing this so that it's manual exposure now, and I'll just use the ND on the top there. 1/50th. We're going to ISO of 50 to 1600. These are the other settings I'm using. So exposure is manual, white balance. No, that's going to be 50, 5500. 55. There we go. Color is normal. No, we don't want normal. We want D-Log M 10-bit. continuous focus, and then I brought the sharpness down -1, so we're in the pro settings. All right, so now everything should look a little bit better than it did before, color-wise, and we're gonna have that cinematic blur. It's basically, everyone calls it the cinematic blur, it's basically motion blur. So you make sure that you're sticking at 180 degree rule. Boots off, Crocs on. These are the slides from Crocs. They are so comfortable. Found on Threads the other day, someone posted basically a list of 5 pages of, I hope the toner was out with this. Basically a blueprint of what you can post on social media if you run out of ideas. So what we're going to do is we're going to print them out and leave them around the office, because I think that is a great idea. You know, a life hack? Get one of these. Automatic garbage. So lazy. Does the one pass in one color, and then it goes back again, and it does the second pass in a different color. So now you get your red done, and then it does one more pass, blue, which basically creates the image. I mean, in this case, it's just a screenshot, so it's nothing special. And it does one more pass, which is your finishing layer. And it actually makes this waterproof and immediately dry. And you'd think with text, a little printer like this, it wouldn't be sufficient. Text wouldn't be clear, but it's great. Look at it. Zero complaints about that whatsoever.
And an absolutely epic overlook. And this time with another incredible camera, the Leica M11P. But I have it paired with a very unusual lens, the Blazar Remus Anamorphic.
Brandon just dropped a video that is right up my alley, so we're gonna give that a little watch.
Anamorphics make for the most incredible landscape lenses.
This whole time I realized I didn't even attach a mic to this, even though I technically can attach. Somewhere I have an actual, I have a mic that's actually paired to this, ready to go, but I have not been using it. So this is all the internal microphone. It's a little easier to just turn it on and start shooting straight away. I mean, I can just turn this on and it will immediately pair, but then I have to have one extra thing. And that's the appeal, I think, with this thing. For a lot of people, is just being able to turn it on and shoot, turn it off, and that's it. So now we've got to work on a little reel for Artlist, demoing some of the new functionality that they have that's integrated within Premiere. Now, Instagram is always changing, and I'm always trying to stay on top of what's working and what's not, because you can't just pick a style and stick to it. Once you figure out what works, you have to post some of that and then keep trying other things. And if you follow along on Instagram, you'll see that from me. I'm always trying different things, and that's why I have such a wildly skewed or kind of all over the place set of views if you go on my profile, because I'm always trying to see what I can do more of. There's some people that don't treat it that way, but I do, because I want to still enjoy making content on there. What we're going to do is create a reel that combines kind of like my pointing thing, the raw aspect of like iPhone footage, because I'm seeing more of a push towards that. Things that, like if you're shooting an ad, they don't want it to feel like an ad. So we're going to try and go with something like that. Because ultimately, when you're being paid by a brand to do things, some people just like take the money, make the ad, and that's it. I want it to do well for the company. Like, I like having good relationships with brands that can trust me to just do whatever I want to do. I want it to be successful for them and get good return on their investment. Let's see how many takes it takes to do. How many times is it going to take us to film? Did you know you could do this within Premiere? If you go up here to Window, Extensions, you see right there, Artlist Library. This is Artlist just within Premiere. You don't have to go to the website. So I can preview a song. Let's pick this one right here. And let's say I like that. I can drag that and throw it right into my timeline. But even better than that, if you tick this little box down here, Timeline Sync, I can preview a song. Let's say this one here. And it'll play at the same time as my timeline does. So you can get a sense of what this music is going to sound like with your video without actually having to drag it directly in. You also have in here sound effects, voiceover, your AI voiceover there, so you can pick one of your AI voiceovers, or you can just make another one. You can pick your accent and everything like that, the speed, and then you can drag that directly into the timeline as well. Soon you'll also have the stock footage in there as well. This is a really faster way to use Artlist just within Premiere. I think that's the one. Now you might be looking at that and wondering, how is that considered an ad? Well, I'm purely demoing something that a lot of people may not know that you can do. And yes, it seems very underproduced, but that's the whole point. I'm seeing this big trend towards people that want less produced style content. If it seems like an ad, people are just swiping away. So it's an experiment, and I'm going to pitch this to Artlist, hopefully, and they go for it. We'll see. Gotta go out and move my car. So much snow past week. I only have to move it to over there as well. We might be waiting here a while. It's a spot. I think we're gonna do it. Oh, we're gonna have to go around the block. We're in the wrong lane. We've got to go all the way around. Normally in Ontario, we don't have the issue where there's too much snow and they have to physically remove it. They just pile it up to the sides. But right now there's just snow everywhere, and in parking lots especially, there's nowhere else for the snow to go. So there's no parking spaces. So I pay for a parking spot downtown, and I can't get in that parking spot. This morning they have it completely blocked, removing snow. And on-street parking is paid here, so I paid for, or I get the first hour free basically, because I come in before 9 AM, which is when parking starts, and then I pay from 9 AM to 11 AM, which is what it is now. If you are a minute late, you can almost guarantee you will have a ticket. A bit cold out. Should have worn a jacket. It is minus 14 right now. It's hard to go from being in the middle of something to having to stop and come with your vehicle. It really interrupts the flow. Now this is going to be too dark, so let's adjust that. Is that better? Maybe. Audio isn't the best, so we're going to be using the mic when we can, just because it's already synced up and it's easy. So now we've got to shoot a thumbnail, and when it comes to thumbnails, you kind of got to make sure things have a clickability to them. Otherwise, you just spend all this time and effort on a video and not doing the marketing of it. So we're going to make, I mean, if you follow the channel for a while, you realize that a lot of the thumbnails that I make are very kind of product focused. Wish that wasn't the case, but it is what it is. So we're going to put this back on here for the 100th time and take a thumbnail, and you can watch the process of me doing it. So from a perspective of a viewer, they're going to want to see the fact that it's a DJI product, because that, believe it or not, is something that people actually really care about. People love DJI products, as do I, but if you can show that it's a DJI product, it will generally do better. This is the white or off-white grey version. I was going to shoot on this backdrop, but that's pure white, so probably going to go this angle, which is more dark, and we'll fix it in post. This is the reality of what my desk is like most of the time when I'm working on projects. Even over here, like, it is a mess. There's always stuff being done. And as much as I try and keep it tidy, I often find that having a little bit of mess where I'm actively using a bunch of things just works better for my mind. So we're underexposed here, so we need some light coming down on the gimbal. So turn you on there, get some light there. Turn this off. And let's turn these backlights on, and we will aim this spotlight towards the gimbal a bit, like that. Kind of like the low angle. Is there a 35? Does it say 35 on that side? It does. Maybe we should flip this around this way, so then you can see the DJI logo. I'm going to turn it on too. Turn it balanced. The camera here in the background could be easily removed in post, but it's going to be way easier right now to just remove it out of the frame. Put you over here, over there. So these are what we're working with. And that's just one aspect of creating a thumbnail. Now the actual real work comes in where you have to cull through the images, memory card into the card reader, and load up Lightroom. My process for creating a thumbnail is multi-step. So it will be firstly narrowing it down to maybe 3 to 5 images. And then from those 3 to 5 images, I'll correct the exposure, put them on 16:9, on an aspect ratio of 16:9, so I can see what they actually look like on YouTube, because YouTube thumbnails are 16:9. And from there, we'll try and make them pop a little bit more. I find when it comes to editing music and thumbnails, I need music. I need music to, let's put a hat on. I need music to edit. It just works better. So when I need to do text on a thumbnail, I'll actually throw it into Keynote. This app just here. And then I'll just use Keynote to do all of my text because it's just easy. And then from here, I'll do a screenshot. So I'll do Command-Shift-4. And then this just lets you drag a screenshot around what it is that you want to get a screenshot of. And it just saves it to a screenshots folder. And then I'll often just use that as the thumbnail because you don't need it to be super high res. And then for YouTube, all of these, I've got a nice little sun flare coming in. Look at that. Woo. For YouTube, it has to be less than 2 megabytes, and these are all way bigger than 2 megabytes. So what you can do is just select all of them, because these are the 3 thumbnails I'm gonna post. I'm gonna do the A/B testing, which I always do. You can right click, go quick actions, convert image, and change that to large, and it'll make them like 300 kilobytes each. And then I'll just put those into a folder just called to post. And that's it, done. And then inside here, we've got one with the text. Basically, that one and that one are basically the same, just one with text, one without, and then that one there as well. So then once the video is uploaded, you go details, and then down here you go test and compare, and then you upload the 3. You pick the one that you want to be as your main. So we'll go thumbnails. This is the folder structure I use. RS4 Mini, edited to post. We're gonna have that one as the main one. I feel like that's probably going to be the one that does best. We'll use that as the second, and then we'll use that as the third. And then you go done, private, it's not ready to go out yet, and that's basically it after I've done my tags. Now next up is something that not a lot of people realize is quite important, and that is interacting on Instagram. So as much as you want to just post on there or post and ghost, a big part of being on Instagram is being social. So going on other people's posts, commenting, liking, viewing Instagram, and just being part of the community. Although it's not directly said that that helps with things, I definitely see a difference if I just stop for a few days. Like if I'm too busy to post, sorry, if I'm too busy to go on and consume and interact with other people's content, I see a huge difference. So I have to schedule time so I know that I need to go in and do that. We're en route to the gym now. Try and get a workout in. I aim for 5 days a week, but more likely 3 to 4 depending on things that come up. So today was actually a kid's snow day at school, so won't be as long as normal. But I value the time in the gym. I made that a priority for this year, and I think it's paying off. I'm not gonna lie, this job is way more stressful than people are led to believe by what they see online, and I do find the gym is a huge de-stressor. Just lifting weights for a bit, a little bit on the treadmill afterwards, high incline walk, hit the sauna for 10 minutes, huge de-stressor from a day that's otherwise just feels like chaos. Now, not every day is chaos, it's just that there's always so many different tasks I am working on. There's always so many things in the pipeline, and you feel like you're being pulled in multiple different directions. And managing all that when your wife is also self-employed and you have 2 young kids as well, it's not easy. It's not for the faint of heart, let me tell you that. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining. I'm just telling you how it is. The realistic insight of what it's actually like doing this. It's not gonna be for everybody, let me tell you that. All the roads are so much narrower at the moment because of the snow. It makes driving a big truck a little bit more challenging. Now I'll tell you what I do appreciate. Let's get this fixed a little bit there. On the top of the case, the Osmo Pocket 3 case here, there's this little slot just here, and when the gimbal's in there, obviously it keeps it protected, but the mic also just clips right in there, so it's a nice spot for it to just be stored. Well, the week in the life is -1 day. Yesterday my daughter was sick, so I had to stay home. That is one of the benefits though of being self-employed. You can do things like that when you need to. So I just did like an admin day at home and got a bunch of emails done, posted some stuff, and now we're back at it today. It is embargo day again, another DJI one too this week, this time with the RS4 Mini. Big improvement over the RS3 Mini, which I was a big fan of. This is a great gimbal for traveling, and it still supports a decent setup. Fine-tuning knob, auto locks, AI tracking module on there, better screen. Generally a big improvement overall. The RS3 Mini was like their first iteration of a more travel-friendly gimbal that supports a decent weight. There was lots of little issues with it, so they fixed it with that. Dare I say it is probably the best gimbal for travel for people that don't need to balance big heavy lenses like a 35 to 150. That's probably the one you should be getting. I realized recently that I don't have any like hobbies anymore. So I'm trying to just feel out hobbies that I used to have and get back into them. So I got my Pokemon cards out again. Yes, Pokemon cards. 38-year-old with Pokemon cards. Sealing that up. This is like my master binder with all of my holographic cards in there. It's well, this thing is old. Some of these they date back a while. This is the original set. Got a few in here. I only ever completed one collection, which was the Celebrations collection, which I think is at the back here. Yeah, this is a complete collection, including the Charizard, obviously. Now I'm playing around with this monitoring and control app, which I did a video on a while back, but it appears to have had some pretty substantial updates. So I was testing it, and as I was testing it, I figured I'm gonna make a video about it. And those are normally the videos that do the best. So I'm interested to see if that's the case. I'm just gonna turn the camera on and roll with it, walk through the app, see what happens. And because we've got this little magnet mount now, I can just put you right up there, bring that down, and bring you along for the video, or at least a time lapse of the video. Pop you up there too. And finished. Off to shoot some real estate content for the wife now, over there, and I get to be a passenger for once. This is gonna be a split screen shot. We're gonna shoot it landscape, horizontal, and then you'll walk out the frame, and then we'll just let it run for like a minute, just so we have time to edit it together. And then you walk in the frame, you come up to the camera, you knock, you point, and like open house, and then you walk out of frame.
Do you think it, like, does it make sense in your mind?
Yeah, it's gonna be like 10 seconds long, really. Number one done. On to the second house. Not sure this ND is enough. Looks a bit overexposed still. proof that we'll drop that off right here. That was the Sony, how are we for exposure here? Maybe adjust that a little bit. That was the Sony 16mm. Tiny little lens. Had a lot of fun with that one. Now it's on its way back to Sony. So that's a lens that obviously has not come out yet, but by the time you see this video will obviously be out, unless I somehow botch that up. But it's a lens that we've had for a few weeks prior to launch, so we can shoot some stuff with it, make some videos with it, some content to get some impressions, and then post it on launch day, which I think is the 26th or 25th of Feb. I'm gonna have to double check on that one. Now on the return, they always get stuck in customs, so in Canada we have to send them back a little bit before everyone else, which is why I'm sending that back today, which is the 21st, I believe. One thing that forcing myself to vlog is showing is how boring this probably looks from a viewer's perspective. There's not always trips and stuff that we're shooting that's exciting, really. Now tonight we've got something a little bit different. There is a 48-hour film challenge happening in Peterborough that I am taking part in with a couple of other guys. And tonight we get our pack of like information. So this is what you're going to shoot, these are some props you have to include, these are some locations you maybe have to go to, and then we'll be shooting it all day tomorrow. I just said it's 55. Yeah. We're out shooting for the 48-hour film challenge now in the woods. Come up with like a loose script. We're going to shoot in the woods back here. Just doing a little aerial shot right now over there. Don't have an actual storyboard, we just kind of got like a basic shot list of what we're going to do, so we'll see.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Your head's just going to shake about as much as it can.
But don't shake it on purpose. Let the car do the shaking. Just be loose, yeah. Can you see that angle there?
Looks good.
I feel like we probably won't use this angle because it looks very Grand Theft Auto.
Oh, I see. Maybe just a glimpse.
Yeah.
Perfect. Oh, shoot. Look at it. You sold it.
Little hike with the kids. I'm coming. Pretty sure this ND is not enough for this snow.
Come on, Dad. Ow! Give me a slab. Give me. Please.
There you go.
Hey.
Is it too deep?
Yeah. Ow.
It's too deep.
Back up.
It's too deep. This is the long way? Or have you been this way before? How do you know this is the long way?
How did someone cut down a tree?
I think you fell down, mate. Are you pretending to be a bear? So you see right here?
Oh my God, these are real ones.
Yeah, I think they're deer tracks. Right there.
Wait.
Come here, mate. They're right here. Come see. What's up?
I can't see.
They're right here. Come see.
Those are real deer tracks.
Yeah. Wow.
Those are actually real.
They're actually real, you're right. I identified a little issue with the Tribex here. You won't really see it in the studio. Oh dear, that fell off the middle. You won't really see the issue in here, but I'll show you the clip that I recorded so you can see what I mean. This isn't shot on the Osmo Pocket 3, this is my phone. This is the only problem with a hydraulic tripod in freezing cold temperatures. Let go of the handle, give it a second. Doesn't work properly. Again, let go the handle. Doesn't work properly. Basically, it doesn't work nearly as well when it's cold. And the release of the handle here takes much, much longer. So it's not a great tripod to use in the cold, unfortunately. And I'm not sure I saw anybody else talk about that in any of the videos. I realized it's a different day, and the 48-hour film challenge is now done. It was both a success and not so much at the same time. We definitely learned a lot. One thing I'll say is I really have found vlogging while trying to do other things, even though it's this tiny little camera, it's very, very hard. You either need a behind-the-scenes shooter or you need to just focus on doing one thing. Vlogging is its own mindset. Maybe doing it more and more and more would make that easier, but it's hard. I've also just realized that this center column piece of the tripod here fell out and it's missing a bolt now. Good news. So that's meant to go up in there, in that slot there, and it couldn't go back in there, but it just falls back out. Not really sure what I'm going to do with this now. Let's see how long this mic takes to connect. So it's off right now. Turn it on. Let's see. Oh, it's connected. That was pretty fast. Right. So what I've realized as well after shooting with this, we're going to wrap this day as the last day, but we've got lots of questions to go through. I did a poll on Instagram and a few thoughts. Something I've realized when it comes to vlogging with this, you really need the least amount of friction. And I think an ND filter is friction for vlogging. If you want to actually shoot like cinematic video, then sure, shoot cinematic video, use an ND filter. This one from KNF Concept was great, albeit the 1 to 5 sometimes wasn't enough. I definitely needed like a 6 to 9. With vlogging, there's a few channels I actually watch that are mostly like outdoorsy, camping, like Outdoor Boys is a great example, and he just uses a GoPro with no ND, just lets the camera do his own thing. Because the focus of vlogging is not good looking footage, it is the story and just bringing the camera along with you to capture the story. And I think that's where this does really, really well. And removing the ND is just removing something that potentially slows down the whole process of actually vlogging. So that's one thing I thought with this ND. Also, one of the best things, oh, lost me there, turned off the face tracking. One of the best things I bought for this is the little magnetic mount. That has been one of the most useful things to use with this, but I think we could improve that a little, but I'm not going to tell you how, because I think it's a good idea for a product that I might try myself. It would also appear that there is an update now, literally in the process of filming this week in the life with the Osmo Pocket 3, and from my understanding it adds focus breathing compensation and a crop mode on the sensor, which you can crop in to zoom more. So yeah, there's the firmware update right there. We're going to download it and test it before we get into the Q&A that I let people ask questions about. All right, we put on the product showcase mode. So now you'll see when we put something close to my lens here, a little thing my daughter made when she was here the other day, and then remove it again, pretty substantial focus breathing there. That focus breathing is when you look at the edges, you see how it moves, it like zooms in and out. That's called focus breathing. This is meant to fix that. So I'm gonna update this. Next time you see it, it'll be with the new update. That was way quicker than I thought. All right, so this is on my phone now, but you'll see when you slide across from the edge here, you now have, if you go down, focus breathing compensation you can turn on and off. So now that focus breathing compensation is turned on with the product showcase mode again. Let's take a look. I mean, it's still there. It's just a little less obvious. If I'm honest, it just kind of focuses a bit faster, but I don't know, you tell me. Now, Lee made a reel about this, which is how I found out about it. So let's reference his reel and how to put it into crop mode.
Came out with a huge new firmware update. Of course, before we could always do this 2x digital zoom, but we now have a 2x sensor crop.
Oh,
so it's not a digital zoom.
You just tap the middle. All right, so annoyingly, that crop mode, the 2x crop that gives you the 40mm, is only doable in standard color, which kind of sucks. Here is how it works. So this is the regular field of view at 24 frames per second in the standard color. Let's stop recording, start again at crop. And then this is that same shot now, just at 40mm instead. It's definitely got a good look to it if you need that little crop, but only in standard color. Everyone raves about using this for B-roll, so I just wanted to do a little test to see. I mean, the active track's fine. It's not amazing. It keeps losing it. I don't know if you can't see that, but it works all right. I could see how, if you have nothing else, it's sufficient. I think a big appeal for this camera is if you don't have a big mirrorless camera and are used to shooting with that, because what this can do with the gimbal, the smooth footage, the fact that it shoots D-Log M, the fact that you can connect one of these mics, I think that's what makes it so hyped for what it is. But if you have a camera that you're used to using for other things, like a mirrorless camera, I feel like it's a little overhyped compared to those. So I put ask me a question about this camera out on Instagram, and we're going to answer these questions before closing this off with some final thoughts on the Osmo Pocket 3 after using it for a week solid. We got a lot of questions to go through here. I don't know if we're going to get to all of them, but we'll try our best. John asks, what accessories do you have for it and how do you rig it to your car like that? I'm assuming he means the actual shot that this one right here. It was an upside down car mount. It's just new Landsy suction cup. The only accessories I ended up buying for this, if you want to include the mic, I mean, I already had this, that connects to this, but a wireless mic's gonna be really handy because it wirelessly connects. The little mount I showed you already, and then the suction cup. The DJI extender thing, that has a 1/4 inch 20 mount on it as well, which can be really handy, which is how I attached it to the truck. Working Title VP asks, how that low light though? I shoot a lot in dense dark forests and GoPros always seem to fall apart. Yeah, honestly, I wouldn't use this for a lot of low light stuff. I shot a lot in the studio here, and this is where I spend a lot of time during the day, and I'm not convinced it's great in low light unless you have lighting like I do on me right now, whereas this is probably going to be fine. This framing is a little skew with, eh? Should we correct that? Make it a bit more centered. Actually, let's light this like I'd normally like my set. So that off, these on. This is how I'd normally light my set. So we'll see how it compares. There you are. We've taken the ND off, raw dogging the shutter speed, letting it do what it wants. Can you spot a difference between the sensor and a larger one, like full frame without zooming? Yes, very much, easily. Those that say you can't, they're not telling the truth. You can definitely spot the difference. Is the footage comparable with Sony as in color and resolution? Yeah, if you want to match it in terms of color, absolutely, like you can do it. I use the Phantom LUTs, and Joel, the creator of the Phantom LUTs, makes Phantom LUTs for all of the different brands of cameras now. iPhone, DJI drones, Osmo Pocket 3, Nikon, Sony, Canon, and the colors match very well when you put the same LUT on each one. So yeah, you can match. Resolution, no, it doesn't match. It looks a lot more digital. How wide is the lens? Great question. Not sure off the top of my head. I typically use the wide angle adapter, but I chose to use an ND for most of this week. Notice you've gone for the VND. Is the vignetting noticeable on the top ends? No, didn't notice it. I had the KNF ND, didn't notice it. Do you see the Pocket 3 as a great camera to capture BTS content from cyber drones? Absolutely, it'd be perfect for that kind of thing. Vlog using Pocket 3 versus mobile. Stay tuned. Might try that. How do you like using it so far? I mean, this is the end of the week. This is from EJ_GGCV. It was a lot less of an inconvenience than I figured it would be. I think now, looking back, as I said earlier, definitely just go with automatic exposure. Don't bother with the ND if you're actually looking to vlog and you have an interesting story. That is going to be more important than faffing about with the ND filter and getting the exposure. Maybe even just shoot standard color, not D-Log-M. If you want to vlog. Don't worry about getting cinematic footage. If you want a cinematic vlog, shoot with an actual camera. Don't stress yourself out shooting with this, if you have access to one of those cameras. What's the advantage versus something like the Osmo Mobile 7 with tracking? Not really an advantage, but more when you use the Osmo Mobile 7, you're using your phone, which means you don't have your phone. So I couldn't do something like this right now. That's the biggest one I'd see. That was from Declan Creative. Which filter brand is the best for it? I was using the KNF one. It was a 1 to 5 stop ND variable. That's all I had. Thank you, KNF, for sending that through. Battery's gonna die. Oh, let's blow through these. Is there a quality drop when you digitally zoom in? Well, the update changed that, so not so much. Does changing settings via touchscreen is comfortable and quick? It's as comfortable and as quick as you'd expect it to be with a small little touchscreen. Sometimes I touch the wrong thing, but it's fine. How is tracking a POV view, e.g. if it was attached to a rucksack arm strap? The tracking's okay, it does fail sometimes. For people, it's really good. For objects, I find it loses its subject more than you'd expect it to. Is it a good camera? Can it replace a GoPro? Yes, I've never been a fan of GoPros. There's lots of issues with the software, and it's buggy, and yeah, this is better than a GoPro. I would like to see a way to lock the camera, though. If you could just lock the axes so it doesn't move about. Don't know how that would work because you need to kind of turn it on, but I'm convinced if there's a new one of this coming this year or whenever, they'll end up doing a locked version. So it's basically like an action camera, essentially. This best for like what time of filming and recording? What type of filming and recording I'm assuming you mean. It'd be, I think, vlog content, honestly, travel creators. Would you say this is convenient for YouTube, on-the-go content? Absolutely. How is the uploading process? You can plug it in via USB, or you can use the SD card. If you plug it in via USB, it's very slow, so slow. Use a fast card reader and the micro USB. How does it work at night and how clear is the image? Didn't shoot with it a lot at night, but I would say the image starts to fall apart when it's in low light. Link for the mount, please. It's in my profile. How did you mount it like that? Already talked about that one. How is color grading the files? Stay tuned for more information, but it seems fine so far. Pretty straightforward if you're just using a LUT. SD recommendations for the Osmo Pocket 3. Whatever the fastest one you can afford is with the biggest. Fast isn't as important. Probably V60, I would say. Definitely at least 128. I filled this card up a couple of times. If you do long clips, it fills up quick. Log or normal color? Log if you can. It just gives you more play just with 10-bit color. Can I have one? I only have one, so you're not having that one. Do you think the A7 IV will eventually get internal LUT support in future firmwares? That's not related to this. What mount is that? Already talked about that. Filming settings, 4K 24. I've experimented with auto exposure, not auto exposure. I think for just simple vlogging content, just go auto with 10-bit color. Set a white balance of 5500. You have some work to do in the edit maybe, or if you want simple, just go all auto. A lot of these questions are the same. So we'll end it there because I'm gonna run out of battery. So you made it to the end and you want to know what I learned about shooting with this. Now, it wasn't my first time shooting with the Osmo Pocket 3 by any means. I've used this for a lot of different things throughout the year, but just little things here and there, nothing really this heavy. And when you force yourself to basically use a piece of gear heavily, almost exclusively for shooting like a vlog stuff like this, you learn a lot very, very quickly. And the biggest thing that stands out for me about the Osmo Pocket 3 is it is a fantastic camera for shooting outside. Inside, you have to be really wary about how you're setting up your shots and the lighting. Now, in the studio here, I can very much rely on, like right now, this shot is entirely natural light from here, and I know it's gonna look really good. Do that with the Osmo Pocket 3, this exact same shot, and I know that it's not gonna look as good. The sensor size means the dynamic range is nowhere near the same as my full frame camera, which I wouldn't expect it to be. Then there's not really gonna be anything you can do about it. It is what it is. Also, I'll shoot exclusively at 5500 with my white balance, and I can tweak it a little bit in post because I like things to look more natural. Like right now, this is a little bit more blue. If I walk over there, it's a little bit more warm, and I'm okay having those changes because that's actually what it looks like if you're in my studio here. If you shoot at 5500, I can't remember the name of the photographer that said that last year, but it was a tip I picked up, and it makes everything look more natural. Because it's warmer when it's warmer and it's cooler when it's cooler. You do that with this, it doesn't like that change in color so much. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's the compression, maybe it's the sensor size again, but that's how I was trying to shoot on this, and you'll see in some of the footage, it did not look that good. If you rely on the auto settings, it handles it a lot better. Now, in terms of in my studio here, it doesn't do as well just walking around as my good camera does here. Again, probably because of the sensor size. It doesn't like those shifts in color temperature. It doesn't like those shifts in exposure. Even if I have proper lighting going on. If it's a static shot and I'm not moving, it handles it pretty well. Like the end there, my studio shot where it's my regular set lit properly. Because I wasn't moving, it was fine. As soon as I started to pick it up, move it around, and you see the change in exposure, you saw the video, hopefully, if you watched the whole thing and didn't skip through, you will have seen what I mean about that. So, as long as you're wary of that, knowing that if you're gonna be shooting inside, you're gonna run into difficulties and technical challenges, and it honestly looks like you just don't know what you're doing, but it's just a limitation of this camera. If you go outside, everything just looks amazing. It does. It genuinely looks fantastic, the footage outside. The color's way better, the saturation's way better, just the complete polar opposite to shooting inside the studio. Yeah, I think that's really what I learned. Also, don't use the ND unless you really want to shoot for that cinematic style video. Just let the thing do its own thing, let it run its course, and go full auto if you need to just capture that story. That's what I learned. Also, get the magnetic mount. Alright, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.